Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have our guest, Melissa Ambrosini here. How are you doing today?
Good. And you're like one of the first people who have ever pronounced it correctly.
Ooh,
So well done.
I feel like accomplished for that because I thought I was going to butcher it and I totally forgot to ask how to pronounce your name.
You did really well.
Yeah, and just to mention, guys, Melissa is actually out in Australia, so that's awesome.
Yes, I'm in Sydney, Australia. Have you guys ever been?
Never. It's on our bucket list. It's on our travel to-do list, though.
It's pretty good.
Gotcha. All right, Melissa. So we always like starting off our podcast episodes, just kind of, getting our listeners to, give a chance to let them know who you are. So if you could possibly tell us, who Melissa is and, what's your story?
Wow, God, how long have we got? So in a nutshell, I used to be a professional dancer and I danced at the Moulin Rouge in Paris. I did some acting and TV presenting and a little bit of modeling. And 6 years ago, back in 2010, I ended up in hospital very, very unwell and unhappy. And that was my rock bottom, my catalyst that changed my entire life. I knew that in that hospital bed, I knew that I needed to get healthy and happy again. I had no idea how, but I knew that I just needed to sort my health and my life out. And from there, I radically changed my entire life. I dove headfirst into this personal development, self-help, spirituality world. I read every book I could get my hands on. I studied life coaching and health coaching and acuenergetics and quantum physics and meditation and yoga teacher training. And I just became a sponge because I started to feel better. And I thought to myself, wow, all of these modalities that I am experimenting with actually work. Okay. So I continued to do them. And after a little while, I started a website and I began sharing what I was learning. And that thing 6 years ago was called a blog. And not many people were doing them back then. Right. I mean, there was, but they weren't really cool like they are now. Right. And I just began sharing what I was learning and discovering and my issues with my eating disorder and issues with depression and issues with, my relationship with myself. And it became this magnet for women. They were, so many people were like, oh my God, I'm not the only one that struggles with that.
Exactly.
And so I wrote my first ebook and I began coaching women one-on-one. I then started to get booked at speaking at different events. And over the past 6 years, it's literally just snowballed from there. And I believe that experience of me ending up in hospital 6 years ago was absolutely one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. At the time, if you had asked me that, I would have told you to go stick it. But because it was the most hardest and challenging time of my entire life. But in hindsight, looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it put me on my true path, which is the path that I'm on now, which is helping and inspiring women to be the best versions of themselves and to live their best life. Like, this is what I'm here to do.
That's amazing. So that sounds like that's what your calling is.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And I want to touch up too on the eating disorder part because I think it's very, very fascinating. Like you said, it's very, very common. Chris and I both coach a lot of female athletes. Yeah. And we've dealt with a lot of, females coming off eating disorders, and it is very, very difficult.
And depression and just, measuring their self-worth to what they see in the mirror.
Right.
We just did a podcast episode on this, talking about social media, how it has such a huge influence these days on people comparing themselves to these big icons on social media and then going in the mirror and just looking at themselves and, being very unhappy with themselves. And it leads to, like you said, eating disorders, depression, stuff like that. So.
Yeah. I mean, it is so common. Yeah. It is so common. And it breaks my heart. It really does, because these women are freaking beautiful. Right. And it just breaks my heart, and social media, it can be very harmful with, the comparison, which I talk a lot about in my book. But deep down, when I reflect back onto myself, the seed that was planted that started the eating disorder and started the depression was, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. So when someone would come to me, and I'm sure you guys see this as well, when someone comes to me or you guys and they have, overeating, or they're undereating, or they've got depression, it's not that we've got to look at. We've got to dig really deep. Right. Like, what is the underlying belief that is feeding the depression or feeding the anxiety or the panic attacks or the eating disorder? We've got to go really deep and look at the underlying beliefs that these people are telling themselves over and over again, because that was what I needed to do for myself. It wasn't about the eating disorder. It was about what I was telling myself that I really needed to work on.
Yeah, it's like you said, and that's an example of shame, and that's what a lot of people go through, and they just they can't get to the bottom of it, and that's huge that you mentioned that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of our listeners, maybe they might know you, maybe they might not. So you are a self-love coach. So maybe you can kind of run us through what exactly is a self-love coach.
Well, I'm actually an author and a motivational speaker, and I write books, I speak all over the world, and I create online products and programs for women. So I don't actually do any one-on-one coaching anymore. But that was what I used to do. I did a lot of health, life, and self-love coaching. Right. And now everything that I teach is in my book, Mastering Your Mean Girl. So because it's so important. Self-love is the number one thing that we all need to work on. It's the foundation.
It's huge. Yeah. I agree. Okay, so I want to read off a quick quote that I came across on your website. I thought it was really, really amazing. I want you to expand on this. So you state, confidence isn't just feeling good about yourself. It's the on switch to your dream life. So can you tell us why confidence is so important?
Again, it comes when someone is so deeply confident within themselves, it's worthiness. They know that they feel worthy. And in my book, I have a thing called the worthyometer. And if you had, the worthyometer is a scale from 1 to 10, and most people feel probably like a 3 on the worthyometer. For me, many years ago, I felt like a 3 out of 10 on the worthyometer. But over the years, I've been able to really dial up my worthyometer and sit at a 10. There are times, of course, where mine slips down, but I have the tools and techniques to help myself get back up there now. And confidence is really when someone is not feeling 100% worthy. And when you feel 10 out of 10 on the worthyometer, you feel confident, you're bursting with love, you will experience very different things to someone who is a 3 out of 10. So it is the on switch to your life, your dream life, the life that you're really here, you're meant to live here on earth. So it's so important.
I love that. And I agree 100%. I do.
And with all of the experience that you've had, coaching people and now like developing your products, doing your motivational speaking, everything like that, what would you say, with all this experience, what would you say the 2 or 3 biggest problems are in today's society that you see that women face? And what are some exercises that can kind of alleviate those problems?
So the biggest thing that I see is they have very, very loud inner mean girls. So that's that fear-based, egoic, inner critic. You can call it your shadow self. You can call it whatever, Bob, Mary, Fred, I don't really care. But that voice inside their head, I call it your inner mean girl, because she's mean. She's the one that says, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not working hard enough, you're not, who do you think you are trying to launch your dream podcast? You know, we all have that voice inside our head. You guys too. Yours just sounds a little different. Absolutely. And women have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. Men have 40. So you guys have half the amount of thoughts we have a day, right? That is potentially 80,000 negative, fear-based, mean girl thoughts. That's a lot. Yes. And most women let that go around and around. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not a good mom. I'm a failure. You know, it's exhausting even just saying it. Right. So the biggest thing that I see is they have very, very loud, mean girls. So how we combat that, I wrote a whole book on it called Mastering Your Mean Girl. But I want to tell you guys today a little 3-step process that you can do right now, because I'm all about taking inspired action. You know, you can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can go to seminars, but if you don't walk away with at least one thing, then you're not getting enough bang for your buck. Right. So the 3-step mastering your mean girl, or you can call it your bad boy or inner critic, whatever. 3-step process is very, very simple. It goes like this. The first step is awareness. We have to become aware of what it is that our inner critic is saying to us. And maybe for one lady, it might be, I'm never going to lose weight. I'm never going to lose weight. I'm never going to lose it. Maybe for someone else is, I'm never going to meet the guy. I'm never going to meet my soulmate. I'm never going to, you know, find the man of my dreams. Maybe for another lady, it's, I'm never going to get out of debt. I'm never going to be financially free. I'm never going to experience abundance, whatever it is. So what we have to do is become aware of what it is that our inner critic is saying to us. And I get everyone to write it down, because getting it out of your head and onto paper is so much more powerful. Yeah. So, you know, you could write something like, you know, my mean girl or my inner critic is currently telling me that I'm never going to get out of debt. So we are aware. First step done. Tick. First step is done. Because once you are aware of something, you can't unknow it. You know, once you have shone light on something that was dark, it's now light. You can see. And unless you have a serious head injury where you have a car accident, you hit your head and you lose your memory, you can't unknow what you now know. No amount of like wishing that, oh, I wish I didn't know that. You can't. You now know it. So awareness is absolute key. And then the second step is you gently close the door on your mean girl. And what I mean by that is it's like an annoying salesperson who comes knocking on your front door. You know, they come knocking on your door and they want to give you this 50-minute spiel about this amazing product that you've got no interest in and that you don't have time to listen to. And, you know, you would say to them, thank you, but no thank you, I'm not interested today. And you would gently close the door. The same when your mean girl comes tapping on your mental mind door saying, you're never going to get out of debt. You're never going to meet the guy. Who do you think you are trying to launch your dream business? What do you think? You really think you're going to launch your successful podcast? Get over it. Like whatever she says. And instead of inviting her in to continue to play those thoughts over and over again for hours, if not weeks, days, months, years, I know women who have replayed the same thoughts for 50 years. 50. Yep, 50. And instead of letting that thought in, we say, thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to gently close the door on that thought. And the third step is you choose love instead. So in every moment, in every single situation, in every experience, you have one of two choices, love or fear. Love is in here, fear is up here. Head or heart. You know, Tony Robbins says, stay in your head and you're dead. Right. And I totally believe that. So that simple 3-step process is awareness, number one, gently close the door on your mean girl, and then you choose love instead. It's really simple. But if you have been replaying that thought for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, she's not going to give up easily. She's not going to turn around and walk away and go, sure, I'll come back tomorrow. She's going to be like elbowing the door open. Like she's going to be like trying to push the door because she's like, no, you've let me replay this same thought. You've let me give you this 50-minute spiel for the past 50 years and now you don't want it? What the heck? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. That's really, really awesome. Thank you very much for sharing those 3 tips. And I think just too, the whole awareness thing, it's huge. It's just even for myself, I have a lot of things that I've been working on, like especially, being more vulnerable. So I'm very, very aware of that. And that was the first step to even just, getting better in that aspect. So it's huge. And then actually taking action.
Yeah. And I liked how you talked about just how we all have that inner voice, no matter what. It doesn't matter how positive you are, even if you're Tony Robbins. He's got a little inner voice inside of him telling him, doubting him, saying, who do you think you are? I mean, when we started our podcast, I had that little voice in my head saying, like, who do we think we are trying to share 2 big eyebrows on a screen? So that makes perfect sense. So I'm glad you brought that up because it's very, very true.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I really want everyone to remember as well, is that absolutely Tony Robbins would probably still have that voice. I still have that voice, but because I have practiced mastering my mean girl so much, it's like a muscle. I have gotten quicker and quicker at returning to love. So where I used to invite my mean girl in and let her sleep over for a month, I'm now able to turn it around very, very quickly. And the more you practice mastering your mean girl and taking yourself through that 3-step process, the stronger your intuition gets. It's like you go to the gym to do your squats. I mean, you guys look like really fit, healthy guys. You go to the gym to do your squats. The more you do it, the tighter your booty, right? Same with mastering your mind. The more you practice this, the stronger your intuition becomes. So it's something that you have to practice daily. And I'm not proclaiming that I have got it all, I've mastered mine, because if I have completely, I would have levitated out of this body by now and would have left this physical world. But I'm still here because there's lessons here that I need to still learn.
Absolutely. So repetition.
Exactly. We are what we repeatedly do. So if you're continuously, repeating these negative fear-based thoughts, then that's what you're going to create. But if you continue to practice mastering your mean girl, then look out.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So let's kind of shift over to the next subject. So let's say you could travel back in time 5 years. What are 3 main lessons that you've learned and that you wish that you could kind of just take back?
Take back and tell myself,
Yes.
Do you mean?
Yes.
Well, to be honest, I don't really regret anything because it's all perfect and it's all been part of my journey. But if I could go back to the hospital bed when I was laying there 6 years ago, 3 things I would tell myself are: you are perfect exactly the way you are. You don't need to compare yourself. And you are worthy of living your dream life. I would tell myself those 3 things because maybe it would have maybe stopped me from spending as much on therapy.
But in a blessing in disguise, though, don't you think that the therapy helped you out to be the person you are today and to shed that type of light and information on other people?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, it's all perfect, and I wouldn't take back that rock bottom experience because I needed that. I absolutely needed that experience for me to get the wake up call and for me to be put on my path, my true path.
Right. Yeah. And I hate to admit this, but like, Eric and I lost our father at the age of 18 in our senior year of high school. And I hate to admit this, but pretty much 12 years later now, like I've kind of realized that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if he was probably here, to be honest.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I almost had to go through that experience to be able to gain that, that knowledge, experience, all that adversity, the perseverance, and
then be able to carry over and help
other
impact
people
so many other lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every opportunity, every time we face adversity is an opportunity for us to grow. And then there's always a lesson in it. There's always a lesson. And if we don't get the lesson, it's going to come back again. Right. It's going to come back, and maybe it's a little nudge. And then the next time it's a bigger elbow. And then the next time it's a kick up the butt. Yeah. And then the next time it's an illness or an accident or something. Don't wait for it to get to that point. Get your lessons. Anytime something happens to my little boy or my husband, even if it's just something little, like you get a parking fine or a speeding fine, I will say to him, what did you learn? Right. What was your lesson out of this? And then bigger things like, anything. It's like, what is your lesson? Have you got it? And I'll say to my husband, did you get it? Have you got it? Are you clear? You got it. You got it. And he's like, yep, got it. And I'm like, great, cool. You don't want to replay this one again.
Yeah. That's really interesting though, how you said the lessons come back. So
I like that.
I like that a lot. Okay, so Eric and I are huge on, daily rituals, and I don't know what it is, but we just like knowing what people do like
Me
every
too.
single hour of the day. You know what I mean? Like whether it's like as soon as you get up all the way until like you have a wind down routine before you hit the sheet. So please walk us through a day in the life of what your routine's like exactly from the morning till night.
Oh my gosh, I'm the same. I am fascinated by people's morning routines and the things that they do. Like I absolutely love it. I think it's because, we're creatures of habit, and it's like, oh, what does that person do that works for them? It's like you get ideas and you get inspired. So I'm exactly the same. So no 2 day is ever exactly the same, but I have a couple of things that I do that are non-negotiables that really help me and have really inspired me to, do them every day. So the first thing I do is I wake up quite early. I wake up at around 5 o'clock. Okay. And that time in the morning, one of the first things I do is I give my husband a good morning kiss, and I say to him, what are 3 things you're grateful for? And he tells me 3 things, and then he asks me what are 3 things I'm grateful for. So we start our day with gratitude. It is absolutely non-negotiable. And even when we're not together, I will send him a text message saying, what are you grateful for? And he will write back and do the same to me. And then that time for us, we get up that early because the first thing that we do in the morning is to connect. So we spend time together. We lay in bed and we talk, and the rest I'll leave there. And we just take time for each other. Mm-hmm. And then we, usually come out into the kitchen and we'll have like a warm water and lemon drink or something like that. And then we do 20 minutes of meditation. We do some yoga. We've just actually started to do this thing called foundations training, which we just do in our lounge room. And it's like sometimes the workouts are 6 minutes, sometimes they're half an hour. But basically the reason why I got into foundations is because I get a really sore lower back from sitting so much. And I think, are you guys standing right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the same problem. It's horrible.
Yeah, so this is actually a stand-up desk, nice, which I'm sitting at right now, but I just lowered it down because I've had a few podcast interviews today. So I was like, I'm not going to stand the whole time, but I'm very impressed that you guys are standing. So well done.
Thanks. Yeah.
And then, some other things that I do in the morning is I go out in nature. So I'll either do like we live on the beach here, so I'll do like a little beach walk and then I'll dive in the ocean. Or I will do a longer coastal walk, or I'll go to a yoga class, or I'll go to a Pilates class. And then, my work day starts around 8:30, and I work up until lunchtime. Lunchtime, I always make myself like a super nourishing, beautiful lunch, and I'll try and sit in the sun or on the balcony. And then, in the afternoon, some more work. And then again, I always finish my day with a beautiful meditation, another meditation, just 20 minutes. I think to bookend your day with starting with a meditation, ending with a meditation is amazing. It's my coffee, so to speak. It's my medicine. I love it. And we have a super early dinner, like around 6:00, and then we're usually in bed by around 8:00. And we lay in bed and we talk and connect and read, and that's our time. That's our time together, because we've both got full days and full lives. So if we don't have that time together, then weeks go by and you're like, feel like I haven't even seen you. And that's not how I want my relationship to be. So people say relationships take work, and I don't believe that. They take energy and commitment. Right. And where you put your energy, you go. Where you put what's that saying? Energy goes where your attention, no, energy flows where your attention goes. Okay. So, you really want to, you want to put energy into something, you got to put your attention there. So, one of my main priorities is nurturing and supporting my husband and our relationship.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool that you and your husband have like a morning routine and kind of like a wind down routine like that, because I kid you not, I've read so many books about like these, high level people, in their morning rituals, and even, done podcasts and stuff like that. And not once has anybody mentioned their significant other that they do these morning rituals with. So right. I think it's really cool. You guys are on the same page with that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and we do a lot of the things together. Like we'll do foundations together, we'll meditate together. Not all the time. We have our little boy, he's my stepson. We have him 1 week on and 1 week off. So the weeks that we have him, we kind of tag team. So I'll go meditate whilst he makes breakfast, and then he'll go meditate while I clean up after breakfast. So we just work around each other. I'll do yoga first thing in the morning whilst he drops Leo to school, and then we just tag team. But then on the weeks that we don't have him, we very much meditate morning and afternoon together. We do yoga together. We'll go for a swim together. We'll do our gratitude together. It's really fun.
Yeah. Sounds like a really just like collective effort from both of you guys. That's really, really just really refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. So last question on these topics. So, let's say you were given a billboard and Sydney, Australia, everybody could see it. What would you want that billboard to say, and why?
Choose love over fear.
Choose love over fear. Okay.
Yeah, very, very simple. And the reason why is because in every moment we have one or two choices, love or fear, in every moment, head or heart, in every single moment. And when you remind yourself, like I was even going to get this tattooed on my wrist, when I was younger, and I was like, I want to get a tattoo. And I thought that was, something that I really wanted. I didn't do it, but it's something that you need to remind yourself of all the time. Oh my gosh, I'm choosing fear right now. Okay, cool. I'm going to come back and choose love instead. And when you do, you'll live a life that's beyond your wildest dreams. It's a very simple mantra. It's my favorite mantra. And I have it written all over my house on Post-it notes and vision boards. And if there's one thing that you can take away from this, it would be to choose love instead of fear in any moment.
Love it. Powerful.
All right. So we're going to transition into what we call rapid dynamic questions. Okay. So
yay!
What are you currently doing self-development wise right now?
Self-development wise. Okay. Well, last week, not last week. I recently did nonviolent communication, which is a workshop, which is about how to learn nonviolent communication. The name sounds a little bit dramatic, but it's just about crystal clear communication. And it's about how to understand what are your needs and what are my needs, and how can I help you meet your needs and in return meet mine. So I recently learned that. It's amazing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do it was not only to become a better communicator, because this is what I do. I speak on stage and I write books, but also for my kid. Like I want to, it really helps with parenting, really, really helps. So that's another reason why I wanted to do it. So that's what I'm currently, well, I've most recently done. But I'm always reading. I'm always reading books. I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always, hungry for more information, because knowledge is absolute key.
Gotcha. I like that. Okay, next question. If you could have dinner with any person in the world, dead or alive, who would that be and why?
Well, the first person that popped into my head, and it's only because I think right now I'm a little bit obsessed with him, and it's Tony Robbins.
Okay. I'm sure a lot of people would want to, sit with him.
Yeah. I recently watched his documentary, and I've just become quite obsessed with him over the past month. I just think he's amazing. After watching that documentary, I just saw how much of an amazing human being he really truly is.
Yeah. So did we. We got a whole different perspective after watching that. It was so powerful. Like we were glued to the screen.
We want to go to one of his events like ASAP.
Yeah.
Me too. He was actually just in Sydney. Oh my gosh. And I didn't even know. And yeah, so I'm a bit bummed, but I loved that documentary. I was seriously glued the whole time. And at the end where they were screaming, I was jumping up on the couch. I was screaming. My husband's like, "You're a weirdo."
No, it's pretty incredible though. All right, so what do you like to do for fun? And don't hold back on us.
I love being in nature. I love going on hikes. I love going to the beach. I love swimming in the ocean. I love having dinner parties. I love cooking. I love travel. I love going to yoga. That's fun for me. I love any sort of exercise, or discovering a new healthy cafe, or discovering something new food-wise. I love that.
Gotcha. What do you want when it's all said and done? What do you want your legacy to be?
I really want to leave this world in better shape than I found it. And I really want to leave this world with women loving themselves. Because I think women are the most freaking incredible things. I think men are too, absolutely. But I think women are so freaking beautiful, and we are so hard on ourselves. Men are too, and I want women to really know how truly beautiful they are and how perfect they are, and I want to inspire people to just unlock their full potential and to live their dream life. And if when I'm dead and people think back about who Melissa Ambrosini was and what she did, I would want them to say she really inspired me to live my dream life, or she really inspired me to be the best version of myself. If people said that, I would be content.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
All right, and the last question that we ask all of our guests is, what does it mean to you to live a dynamic lifestyle?
To live a dynamic lifestyle, it means showing up in every moment, in every area, showing up with your relationships, that's dynamic, showing up with your health, showing up in your career and what you do, really showing up, and not just letting, your fear-based thoughts hold you back. Because when you're not present, you're not really showing up. Right. When you're replaying all of this in your head, you're not really in the moment. But when you are present, you're really showing up, and that is dynamic.
Love it.
Whew. Love it. So before we get into, telling the audience where we can find you, I just wanted to personally acknowledge you.
Just and it comes from me too.
Yeah, it comes from the other guy too, I guess so. But no, I just want to acknowledge you for all your work, everything that you're currently doing, everything that you have planned going forward. I think you are just, touching so many lives on a bigger scale than you could even imagine, and you're going to continue to change a bunch of just lives. So I just wanted to, say thank you, and, I think it's great what you're doing.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm honored, and thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that you guys had me on your show.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. So where can our listeners, follow your work and everything that you're doing?
So I have my website, which is melissaambrosini.com. I've got my book, Mastering Your Mean Girl. So you can head to masteringyourmeangirl.com. I've got a bunch of online products and programs. I've got a 10-week activation program actually that complements the book. And I've got meditations that you can download and all sorts of goodies. But I'm on all social media. I'm probably most active on Facebook and Instagram. I love those. They're super fun. But I'm on all the others as well. But yeah, grab my book, Mastering Your Mean Girl. Head to masteringyourmeangirl.com and check it out, and come and introduce yourself to me on social media. Like, I absolutely love it when people do that. You would be surprised. Hardly ever, people are really scared, or they think that I'm not the one reading my comments. I read every single comment, and I read every single message that comes through on social media. So come and introduce yourself, and I can't necessarily write back to every single one, but I do my very best. So come and introduce yourself, and let's hang out.
That's awesome. That's what I call being humble, authentic, and having humility.
Exactly.
And we'll have all that in the show notes too, your program, your website, the book, everything like that. So Melissa, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. And we look forward to connecting with you some more.
Thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Have a great one. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to our video. We really, really appreciate it. And before you guys go, make sure to subscribe below to our newsletter so you guys can get our free and new book, The 4 Pillars of Becoming Dynamic Within Fitness.